And we're live. What's up, Chris? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well today. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm surprised that nobody let us know this or were yelling at us about this, but the audio was way out of sync on pretty much the last two were really bad since we switched to the new camera, and then some of the previous ones still were a little bit off. So I'm surprised people weren't saying, "Bro, your audio is way out of sync." If Rogan can do it, why can't we do it? You know. So ignore the fact that his podcast makes $10 million a year. But anyway, I think we've gotten it figured out. If not, we'll keep cracking at it, keep working. But anyway, I've been here all week. That's been good. I got to leave for California in a few days, which I look forward to what I'm doing there, but I don't look forward to I like to stay in my routine, stay in my bubble.
You're gone there for a whole week, right? Or most of the week?
Yeah, Sunday to Friday. Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be cool. I'm doing the Leno garage. We're doing his not his, but their Krensla portable pressure washer thing we're gonna build. And then I'm going out to McGuire's, and then in between I'll be hopefully still doing the Smoking Tire podcast. I have to reach out to Matt Fair and make sure we're still good there. And then what I'm hoping to do is go check out how the decon soap is made. But they're a little nervous about that. They're not sure about what that means because that whole industry is so darn secretive. The whole bottling and blending part of the chemical production business. They're so used to being like they just don't even know what to do. It's not like they're saying no; they just don't know. They're like they can't even fathom someone wanting to do that.
Do they make that soap for anyone else, or are we the only ones who?
No, we're the only ones. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I say good luck. Try to copy it, but I don't know. So we'll see if I can get that video done or not. I think it'd be cool. There's all this talk about what's in chemicals and, blowing up this and that. I was like, well, why don't we just go and show you what it is? Here's how it's made. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not. If it doesn't happen this time, I'm going to make it happen at some point with some chemical.
All right. So on the subject of California, then, you want to speak a little bit about the Facebook community thing? Is that next week or is that going to be later down the road?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't talk about the company that's doing it because there's NDAs and all kinds of legal stuff. I will be able to at some point. But let's just say there's a major corporation that has found our group that wants to feature it in their ad campaign that has to do with community. And I think we were selected as one of 50 or 100 groups, and then we're just gonna kind of pull content and then choose who they were gonna feature and who they weren't, whoever did the best. And so I made a post on our Facebook group saying, I'd like if anybody's in LA. The interesting thing about the whole thing, maybe we were selected later in the process, but they're like, all right, we need this information now, in 2 days. And I think we've been chosen to be the group, the main group, probably because we all executed. So 10 or 12 of you sent me a video, your address, phone number, email, your contact info, and so then I went and organized that and sent them an organized list of 1 through 9 or 10 or however many there were, and then everything they asked of me, get your background check done. So everything was executed. And then as I think they were digging into the story and how our group started and all of that, I just get these hunches. Like when I went out to California 2 years ago and was riding shotgun with Jay Leno, it seemed like such a waste. Like, why am I going to fly out there for a 2-hour, press thing that I don't even belong at? And I just get these suspicions that, because I turned down a lot of stuff, but this one just, I don't know, it just felt, my spidey senses were tingling, and so I have this sneaky suspicion that we're going to be on TV and print and on the side of a building in New York City or something. I don't know.
Times Square. There's your face right there.
Yeah. So I've got a schedule. I'm gonna contact the moderators, and I'm gonna organize moderation for this, and we're going to come up with a plan, because if this does hit, then our group is going to get bombarded with all kinds of people wanting in, and so we're going to have to come up with a system to accept the people that belong and decline the ones that don't, and keep it a proper community. And rather than, and it's morphed over time. It's certainly not as good of a community as it was when we had 800 people. But it's now there's a more steady stream of content. It's questionable how good some of the content is. And so that's why we, delete a lot of stuff, like probably delete 50% of what people post. And even then still there's still some questionable stuff, whether it's of value or not. But as you have more and more new people, and so a lot of people come in hot and heavy, right? They really want to contribute, and they post, and then that kind of wears off. And so what happens is we have people come and go as well. Some really enjoy it and then hate it, and so there's this dynamic that morphs and changes over time. But in general, I'm a part of many different groups, many different communities. This one I think is the best. It's mine, but I think it's the best version. And you're going to hear me here shortly on a video ranting a little bit about the group at times has gotten taken advantage of. Now, I take advantage of it because it's my group, right? Maybe this is the wrong way to think about it, but when it started, Obsessed Garage wasn't a business, and now it is, and so what I've asked people to do in the beginning, and I've expected people to act a certain way, and I know I shouldn't have these expectations of people because they'll let you down. Just like I'll let people down as well. They create this story around who they think I am, and then when I'm not, it disappoints people. But the group in general has been a place to share ideas and share things, and so I've contributed massively to that idea sharing. Right, so I've put in tons and tons of work. And so I've left it open that if you have a business or you have a product, I would hope that you'd have the courtesy that if it was a competing product to something that I was selling, that you wouldn't go there, right? I would just assume, like, I'm not going to go on Auto Geek and start hawking Obsessed Garage stuff, right? And so what I expected was people to just honor that and understand that, because it makes perfect sense to me. I'm assuming it would make perfect sense to you. You're part of a lot of, bourbon groups,
Mm-hmm.
whiskey group,
Right.
And so the bourbon group, if you were, let's say the guy started the group and then he started developing a retail outlet to provide you bourbon, and then you decided to start your own retail outlet because he taught you how to do that, and then you wouldn't come in there and start posting links to your bourbon that was basically you're kicking them square in the nuts by saying, hey, my bourbon's better than yours, even though you're not saying that, and you do it under the guise that you're helping people, right? Well, I'm not making a big profit on this, and it's not my intention to come in, and I just want people to know what's the best. In other words, you're saying what I'm using isn't, or what bourbon I'm selling isn't the best. And so I just expected people to understand that. And that expectation is not always understood, and then people make up a story about why it's justified, and I'm being upfront and clear now and saying, just don't frickin' do it, just don't. You can't, because I'll just delete it, or I'll have somebody delete it, or we'll all delete it, and you're darn right I want my business to succeed. No, I don't want to censor it and make it so that it's this my way only and my products only. We can certainly talk about other things that we don't offer. Just don't freaking try to hawk your wares in my group. Just be courteous. Be mindful. And the way to backhandedly do that, to sell your stuff, this is what I've argued, this is what I've done, is teach, help. Now, not help. People don't want to be helped, but provide information, provide your experience. Don't just say, well, I don't have time to do that, and I'm just going to use all of the work that Obsessed Garage has done to then come sell my stuff. So there's a way to go about it, and there's a way not to. And what's happened with many folks, many people, is that by providing information, by being there and aiding and providing experience and answering things and making your own posts, you'll generate a following of your own, by contributing to other platforms, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, the Obsessed Garage group. And so I've gained people that have bought stuff from contributing to a home theater forum, and they just go and look me up and say, well, why this guy's providing all this information? Who the heck is this guy? And so by proxy, people will start to, let's say you're detailing for a living, then people will start to hire you. And I've seen countless detailers get obsessed people or connect with their target client by not saying, hey, here's my detailing service, here's the link, here's my phone number. People have this need to do that. So then they come on my platform that I've worked my face off to contribute to and to build, and then they say, well, I don't have time to do what you're talking about, Matt. I can't do that. I can't actually provide anybody value. I just have to, I believe wholeheartedly in what I'm doing, so here's a link. This is an open forum. This isn't a business. This is an open forum. Bull crap. It's not open. I say it's not open. How's that sound? How's that for you? It's whatever I say it is. Because you have to be courteous here. And so I'm protecting the integrity of the group, and then I'm protecting my own business. Yes, it wasn't a business in the beginning, but if you can't honor that, then you don't frickin' belong. And so I'm struggling with that. And then there's a contingent of people that kind of band up and say, yeah, they make up this whole story about why they're justified, and they use words like ethics and trust and all this bull crap. Anybody who says trust me, first thing you should do is not trust them. And you say, I'm trustworthy. Anytime that's ever entered the equation, then, unless it's in jest, like saying, trust me, man, I got this. If you're saying, look, I'm ethical, and you feel the need to even say that, then you're probably in the wrong. So if you hear me say that, that I'm probably not right on that particular topic. So I'm the reason why I'm talking about this is I need to provide some clarity around it. And I think most people, if we have an agreement up front, to just don't post links to your crap. Provide value. Your Facebook profile by itself, people will honor that if they say, man, this guy's really contributing, this guy's really providing information. The risk of you doing that is that you're just enriching Obsessed Garage by doing that, by providing valuable content. So you have a couple of choices. You can just not go there and not take that risk of providing value and then having people show up to your door. Because I'm telling you, if there's a contingent of obsessed people that really identify with what you're saying and what you're talking about in any forum, they're going to look you up and they're going to find you, and then they're going to start referring to you, and then it explodes from there. There's no reason to post links to the product you're selling. And don't do it with an agenda to get a sale, to enrich your business. Do it with the intent to just connect with people, and then the money will come, the sales will come later. So, in other words, what I'm saying is you can use me, but you got to work for it. You can't just cheat. I haven't been able to. I haven't been allowed to cheat. If I cheated, then it wouldn't work. Or it might work in small increments, but look at what's happening. It's exploding because we haven't cheated. I mean, we're literally working like machines. So, and my way of working is by providing the information. Provide. And then one day I said, well, maybe I need to actually create a solution. So information, and then at one point I jumped the shark and said, if I'm doing all this, maybe I should just make it easier for people to buy stuff. There's a benevolence to that, but there's a greedy aspect in that, eventually, if I want to keep doing it, I have to somehow figure out a way to create a result from it. And people that come in and take advantage of this work that I'm doing is insulting, and I'm just not going to stand for it. And I don't care what they say behind my back. Screw them. They can go away. Go create your own Facebook group. See how many people show up. When you show up with an agenda. My agenda was to create a community, and then the business came about it, and then I'm asking you to be courteous to that. So that's my little rant there on that deal.
And more of that coming in an upcoming video, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to have to speak to it quite a bit in order to clean it up so that people will stop. Some people just don't know when they're taking advantage. And I probably have done it in the past in my life where I've taken advantage. There needs to be a value exchange, an equal exchange in value. This is what Rick talks about all the time. If there's an equal exchange in value, then there's no one's being taken advantage of. I go to a nice hotel, they charge a premium price. I choose to pay that premium price. They're providing me a better experience. I'm providing them with a monetary gain or benefit because I believe in that service that they're providing. And we can have a little rant about customer service here in a little bit, but I've never once gone to a place and been disappointed and then started ranting about customer service. I just don't go there. Just don't go back. So anyway, that's what's going on there with the Facebook group. But so I get this negativity on one side and then the positivity on the other. So I know, and most people can't see the vision I have for all of this. A lot of it's fuzzy for me. But I know that I'm right. There's these validations that come by, okay, the silent majority doesn't speak to any of this stuff, and they would never even consider doing what we're talking about here, coming in and hawking their wares. Whether it's good or not is irrelevant. Whether what they're selling is good or not is irrelevant. Just being courteous is the key. But then I have on the other side of the equation, we've got a major corporation that's going to feature the group and the people in it, and I just know it. I know it in my soul that it's this vision I have is what it's what I think people will want to experience, and there's going to be some bumps along the way. So. Anyway, what else you got for me?
All right, so I'm looking back at the videos in the past week since our last podcast. A couple of them were about the Rupes Advanced Training. Mm-hmm. One thing I noticed just looking at the numbers compared to some of the other videos like the washing of Adam LZ's new car, the numbers are down in terms of actual views, but the people who view it are pretty passionate about that stuff, and they comment about how much they're getting from it. So it's not just, I'm going to watch this pretty colored car. It's, I'm going to actually take the time to learn and listen to this.
Yeah, there's very little entertainment value to that type of content, and I get that. And what tends to happen, actually, the biggest viewed video I have is me and Jason Rose talking about machine sanding. I was thinking it has like 300,000 views. Maybe someday I'll get a viral video. I need to do something more exciting. I need to do some drone shots or something, and get some girls in the thumbnails or something. I don't know. So anyway, the advanced stuff is the content over time, I think, will gain people's attention. It's stuff that I would want to see. It's a little different. This stuff is a little bit different than the other Rupes because I've already done 2 different series on the same stuff. And so this one, I'm attempting to capture some of the in-between, some of the extra stuff. One that's coming out probably tomorrow is to rotary or not to rotary. And you see me fumbling with the rotary. And I'm sure I'm going to take some heat from some real hardcore rotary guy saying, you're stupid. I've never used a rotary before, and I'm not scared to get the rotary out and fumble through it. So I actually do a panel, and Jason talks about when to and when not to and all of that. So that's going to be interesting. The thing that I think is really going to be interesting here, Ryan, can you turn the AC down? I'm sweating. I'm getting all fired up over here. Turn it down to like 70. So the what was I talking about?
Rupes training
Oh,
videos.
at the end, so you want to keep an eye on this here. At the end, we have a roundtable discussion. One of the things that really bothers me is this pursuit of new. Now, I tend to be an early adopter on things. I like to early adopt things. I like to contribute when it's necessary. But most of the time, I'm using things that are V3, V4, V5, version 17. Like Adam's car soap is part of the reason why a lot of guys that try to develop a soap, they're on V1, 2, or 3. One of the things that intrigues me about Auto Fanatic's wheel cleaner is that he's on like V4, but each version has been multiple iterations of. I mean, he and I had a discussion about, he would like to add a scent, but then the scent throws off the chemistry, and there's only one way to figure this stuff out, and he'll probably have a V5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And what happens a lot of times, I don't want to pick on Adams, but like say Adams Ceramic Boost. Adams has become very marketing centric, and I'm a huge fan of that company. I like those guys. They're just they're sharp. Adam is world class, and that product specifically has created lots of buzz, and they've done a masterful job of taking a name which everybody wants, and they're just saying, look, if we can't beat them, let's just join them. And so now everybody's had that same attitude. Not everybody, but most companies have had that attitude of, let's use this whole ceramic craze and let's just let people make up a story around it, right? So let's let people assume that this is a ceramic coating, whereas like a P&S is almost kind of to their detriment has come, because I'm pretty sure Bead Maker has silicon dioxide in it, but they don't go there because it's confusing. It doesn't really mean anything. And so this whole argument of this is a new product or a good product or I want to try it, I just not. You notice you don't see me chasing that stuff very often. I'm not chasing the new thing, because in my experience in life to this point, the new thing very rarely works, and if it works, it's not very good. And so it's not that I want to wait or I'm lazy. Because sometimes I will early adopt if it's something that's a new thing that needs to exist. But like a Prevost coupler, I'm sure is V22. So I urge, especially young guys. Now I have an infinite budget for detailing supplies, and now because it's justified in that it generates revenue for me, and I'm not buying most of the new stuff. So what I would urge you to do is follow, maybe not just me, but follow what people are discussing outside of the new stuff. So, like Pan, my buddy Pan, the organizer, his channel is based on, let me show you what the new stuff is. I need to get this out there. You want it, let me show it to you. Let me get it, and I'll read the bottle and show you how it works and all of that stuff. So you have to watch that and notice how Pan has never said this is what you need to buy. He gives awards and things like that to certain things, but you have to sift through. What you really want to know is what is Pan actually using. If Pan's a guy that you identify with, you really want to know what Larry Cosell is using. You really want to know what I don't know if I'm a good example of what I'm using, but you want to know what the guys at Meguiar's are actually using from Meguiar's on their cars. Not just trying out, but what they would, if they were going back to their go-to, what are they actually using? What's Jeremy from Shine Supply using from his line? And then what are some guys like, what's his name? Like, Auto Fanatic or Apex Detail. What are those guys actually using without any of the extra? And so you have to sift through that. It's like when I go to Rupes training, I've been to Esoteric training, I've been to Optimum training, I'm going to be at Meguiar's training, I'm going to be going to training, and in all these trainings, and each one of them, they have a process where they're suggesting their product. You have to be able to sift through that stuff and figure it out. And a lot of times the new product is not worth your time, especially if you're on a budget. So forget trying the new stuff unless you're balling. Go with the tried and true stuff. Let somebody else figure out what's actually good. That's my advice. I don't even know how I got on that, but this is what I do.
Me either. But since we were talking about Rupes training, there's a Rupes question that popped up here in the chat, so I want to address that one. Confused on backing plates for Rupes polishers. What's your take on them? Stock, modified in some fashion, or aftermarket? Are they really necessary to upgrade from stock?
So this is where some experience, but a lot of opinion comes in, right? And I generally don't do opinions. I have some experience with like the Kamikaze metal backing plate. And then I have an opinion on some of the newer backing plates where they're talking about, and you'll see, I don't know if I captured this. I don't think I captured this on video with Dylan. But you have to use some logic in this discussion here. So first of all, why would you want a frickin' metal backing plate on your polisher? That's stupid. The argument is it's more balanced. But why would I want this like spinning blade of steel or aluminum ready to slice through the side of my car? That's on the it's protected by some foam. That to me already kind of throws up some red flags. But the argument of an aftermarket backing plate is that it should cool better. It should cool the machine better, and it should provide more balance. Well, and this is tricky because let's use a car as an example. So there's this balance between engineer, development. The company that produces the product always believes in how they engineered it. And so use a car as an example here, that the Porsche engineers would scoff at me putting a Dundon exhaust on the car. Most of them would. But Porsche has requirements that they have to adhere to. There has to be certain noise standards, there has to be certain emission standards, and so they're going to have to stick with a certain set of restrictions that a Dundon wouldn't have to, or a Sharkworks or a GMG or an aftermarket supplier. So I think most of the time cars can be improved over what the factory is providing, even though the engineering budget of Porsche is infinitely greater than that of any aftermarket company. And so talking about Rupes, I washer mod, so I put a washer on my polisher. Now that's a Kevin Brown technique where he spaces the backing plate so it spins more freely. But if you talk to an Italian engineer, part of the reason why the backing plate connects or touches the shroud is for cooling. And there are vents on the side. And so it creates I think like a Venturi effect where it pulls air through the pad, through the foam pad, through the microfiber pad, in through the holes in the backing plate. That's where the holes are there, and then out the shroud. And when you space that out, you lose the vacuum effect. And so the argument that, well, I'm going to use a metal backing plate that's cooling better is ridiculous. I mean, I almost guarantee if you put go grab my Fluke, that fancy Fluke thing that I bought, and you held it up there, the temperature is going to be significantly different modifying the Rupes than not. So I stick with the Rupes backing plates. The Velcro is way better than anything else I've ever seen. It's not Velcro, the hook and loop, but Velcro type material. Velcro is just a brand. It's superior to everything else I've found. And that's one of those things that just isn't necessary to modify. It's like modifying the suspension on a GT3. It's going to be really hard to beat, unless you're just going remote reservoir and having some sophisticated tuner tune it. You're going to have a really hard time beating it, so don't mess with it. So that's my take on backing plates on a Rupes polisher. You're not beating it. This is opinion, right? I haven't proven this. But this is my opinion from what I know, which is probably more than most, because I have access that most people don't have. I have access to information that most people don't have about this, and I've had many discussions, and I've been very stubborn about this, and so I've had, again, access to the information to develop this opinion. But I haven't tested it, so I am speaking a bit more from that than I am actual testing or empirical evidence.
Larry wants to know, kind of we'll stay on this training vein. What trainings would you recommend for a DIY/enthusiast who does not plan on becoming a professional or opening a business, just want to advance my knowledge and technique?
Yeah, that really doesn't exist outside of maybe AutoGeek. AutoGeek does some stuff. Most of the stuff is geared toward professional. Now, in my experience, being a DIY guy, I still prefer to be professional grade. Right? So I want to know what the professionals know. That way I can choose to see how far I want to go with it. AutoGeeks is a good overview. What I feel most trainings are lacking is the start to finish part. Esoterics did pretty well on the start to finish of paint correction. But some of the trainings are missing. All the trainings I've been to are missing the wash element of things. Optimum spent a lot on washing, but on rinseless washing. They don't even they have car shampoo, but no one actually uses it there. And so I think to answer that question selfishly, I think I'm going to create a training program to pander to us prosumer type DIY guys from start to finish. Here's how we fill up our bucket. Here's what we put in our bucket. Here's how much soap we use. These are all the questions that a lot of pros overlook because they just don't think about it. It's second nature to them. But it's stuff that you and I, it's the same thing as any of these companies that produce a product. They're blind to what people actually want to know. Like with Krenzel, where does the water go in? How do I screw a hose onto that? How do I get the water out of it? And what does it look like? How does the pressure gauge work? They skip all of this stuff and they go to the fluff. And that's, a lot of trainings are very deep, narrow and deep, and I've yet to find one that is all-inclusive from start to finish. Here is what you actually do. And so I'm going to make that training. That's part of the point of the new facility is to be able to do that. This facility may become that place. And so I may end up keeping this. If we keep going the way we're going, I'll just pay for it all and we'll be fine.
Any plans to provide prior hose bibs, especially their hot and cold mixing hydrant? I know you prefer those.
Yeah, I mean, I want to. I guess I need to get on the phone again. They said no 3 times already. And then the girl on social media said, yeah, we're interested, but I haven't heard from them. So, yeah, I mean, I think they have a massive line of products. I think there would be some value that I could provide the world by saying, here are the 3 that you want. But yeah, they're amazing. I love those things. So good. There's nothing else like it.
If you could only choose one of each, what's the best cut and polish combo?
I mean, it's what I have in the store. I like Jessicar Correction Compound and Sonex Perfect Finish. So the compound with the Meguiar's microfiber cutting pad, can't go wrong with that. I'm going to be adding Meguiar's M101 to the store likely for a next step up in aggression. And then Sonex Perfect Finish is what I finish pretty much every car with. It's also probably good to have Menzerna 3500. Their 3500 series is just a straight finishing polish. Those are the ones that I really like and what I get pretty much every job done with. But it's good to have an arsenal of some other things: Scholl's S3 Gold, Meguiar's M1 110, 210, the new formulas. I'm going to be playing with those a bit more, and we'll see how I like them. It took them years to finally develop that stuff, but I'm not in the camp of pick one polish and manipulate it. I'd like to have a bunch of them so I can try different things.
My daughter Caroline's watching again, so hey Caroline, she's got to go back to school one of these days. Any update on the OG prototype snub gun and soft rubber tip for the end of the lance?
Yeah, we did some work on that. Jamie from Osmatic came and visited, and I approved the final prototype of the M22 stainless fitting, which I'm really excited about. Because right now what we do is we take a 3/8 inch female coupler and we put a brass twist and seal plug, which is a 3/8 to M22, and it's clunky. But nobody makes a stainless, full stainless M22 to 3/8 inch coupler. And so that was the thing we've been working on. They kept getting it wrong. So I finally have that. And so I approved the final design. They should be getting me the final prototype so I can make sure it works. and then it's on to production. So who freaking knows? I'm going to stop quoting days and times because it was supposed to be a year and a half ago or a year ago. So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to cost. I don't know anything. It should be similarly cost to the one that's currently available. Ryan just did the design for it's going to actually be branded Obsessed Garage. So it'll be the actual Obsessed Garage gun. It'll be exclusive to me. Good. So I don't have to do all this work and then everybody frickin' copy it again. So I love that. Stick it to the cheaters. Stop cheating. Get your own thing.
This is a good question. Who first started calling you or gave you the nickname Maddie? Is that a Michelle thing or was that before?
That's since I was born. Yeah. Forever. Yeah, I mean, it was what everybody called me when I was little, and then there was a stint there probably from like 8 to 13 when I didn't want to be called that. And then, then you kind of realize that it's somewhat endearing at some point. And so, yeah, usually, closer friends have called me that. And when I refer to myself when I'm doing something stupid, I'll usually in jest call myself that.
How hard/easy is it to move the twin bush low-rise scissor lift using the wheel kit?
Not easy.
No.
The thing weighs, each side weighs about 900 pounds. So, yeah, it's movable, but, if you're 68 and you don't power lift, you're screwed. It's going to take everything like Bryce isn't moving that thing. So, it's going to take everything I got to move the thing around. And it also depends on how slick your floor is, So if you have polished concrete, it's a little easier to move around. But, yeah, it's heavy. So if you're thinking about, well, I'll just put it in place and then I'll move it out of the way, no. So picture the crappy, what are those stupid bend pack things that I hate so much, the quick jacks. Those things weigh like 90 pounds each side and are annoying to deal with. This thing is on another level. So you want a spot where it's going to be there most of the time, and you want to have a bunch of buddies come over if you're going to want to move it somewhere. So it's not one of those things, let me just pull out in the driveway on an afternoon. You can, but you're going to be getting your wife out there sweating with you trying to move the thing around.
Well, speaking of that, address real quick, I know you had a twin bush conversation this week.
Yeah, so here's the inside scoop on this. So, Dan at Twin Bush USA is a really small startup company, and I don't know how much credit is due to me, sharing this and putting it in Adam's garage and all of this, but some of it is due to us kind of raising some awareness. So there's a good percentage of people that are buying the lift that are seeing videos that Adam and I made, and then seeing photos and things like that I've taken, and so that's been helpful to the brand. But the difficulty has been then they have finite resources because these things are really capital intensive to buy and ship over here. And if you buy 10 lifts, it's $35,000. And so they've been bringing over 10, 20 at a time. Before they even get here, they're all sold. The thing that stinks for me is that I'm not getting any cut of any of that because they're all sold, and Dan wasn't taking pre-order. So the only ones that I've been able to sell are just ones I've kind of caught in between. So I called him and said, look, man, we need to figure out a way, if I'm going to continue to work at this, and this is a bit selfish on my part, and that if I want to put effort into this, I want to take photos and provide people information and show people how to use the stuff. But, in fairness, I should probably be compensated in some form for doing that, rather than just sending them business, sending them, especially since it's something I have in the store. And so we came up with a solution in order for it to help aid me in getting credit for it. So we have 20 lifts coming over. I pre-bought 10 of them, so that also helps with capital as well. So I bought 10 of the 10Es and 10 of the S319s, the full rise, and 10 of the low rise and the full rise, or mid rise and full rise. And so now I'm taking pre-orders, fully paid pre-orders on the Twin Bush stuff. Bryce and Ryan have got it all set up, so we have I can get anything Twin Bush, but the stuff that I suggest that they have, like the 4-post and the other, the scissor lifts are my favorite, the 2-post as well. that's all we have. We have a full suite, and then the accessory products that you might want, like the extractor that I have, the oil thing. I wouldn't get the extractor if I were you. I would just get the one that captures the oil. The extractor just makes it bulkier, and you're probably never going to use that. At least I don't even know how to use it, so I'm not going to use it. But the Twin Bush stuff. So now we're taking pre-orders, and I don't do like wait lists or deposits, because what happens is then when it comes in, then I'm trying to track people down. They're not answering. I'm like, do I give somebody else a spot? And so just pay for it. I pay for it. And then your spot is solidified. So if you want one of these things, you're gonna have to get. I mean, the 10Es are coming in a few weeks, but the S319 are 2 months out. So you want to lock that down for sure.
So that's going to help us, because we've had a lot of inquiries, people asking, "Can I get one? Can I get one?"
What have I been saying? I don't know.
Right
now, I know. Yes, and they'll go fast, because when Twin Bush, their list of people. They'll refer them back to me when they run out. And so every time a container comes, I'm going to buy 10, 20, 30, 40 of them, whatever I got to buy, whatever you guys want. It is a great lift. And I keep going back to, and I even went on the exercise, to be honest. I was like, well, maybe I'll tear this one out and try something else. It's just in that price point, unless you go to Nussbaum and spend $10,000, $11,000 on the scissor lift, which I just don't think it's worth it. I love high end. I love the best. Maybe I'll do some Nussbaum stuff in the future, but this lift is just good, man. And looking at the bend packs and stuff, the bend packs are nice for recessing, but I think this is better engineering on the Twin Bush stuff. It's both are Chinese made, so one just happens to be a German engineered. So, yeah.
How much car washing is going to be really needed for a G-Tech coated weekend car that isn't even driven in the rain?
Just as much as any other car, any other like wax or sealant. We actually have a discussion about that if you want your car to look nice and continue to stay as contaminant free as possible, you have to treat a coating with more care than a wax, because you can't just remove it. So now if you don't care and you just want it to have some protection on it, then the coating makes absolute sense. But a coating is going to get beaten up easier at times than a wax would. Because a wax, you can just pull it off and start over. So there are pros and cons to a coating. Like Michelle's truck is absolutely coated, but it doesn't look great. It looks okay, but it's coated because we don't care for it like I care for my M3. So if you're going to coat the car, like my GT3, it gets extra special care in order to maintain the coating and maintain it looking nice. So I urge people to think about this a little different, because coatings are sold, I think they're sold incorrectly, in that, you just put this on and you get more chemical resistance and it's impenetrable. Yeah, but it's going to get scratched up and look like crap. Yeah, it'll bead water and protect the clear coat, but if it looks like crap, it kind of defeats the purpose. So I think you need to go into it with an understanding that if you're going to coat the car and you want it to look good, you're going to have to take extra care with it than you would a wax. Because a wax, you can just pull it off easily and start over. A coating, not as easily removed. Sometimes almost impossible to remove.
All right, I think this is along the same lines. I'm going to Instagram for a couple of questions here now. Asked to compare Kamikaze stance to G-Technic C5.
I think they both suck. I think I'm going to pull C5 off the store. It doesn't really seem to do anything. I'm now in the camp of just put the darn wheel stuff, or put the paint stuff on the wheels. Let me rephrase it. They don't suck. They're designed to be a little higher temp capable, but I've found them not to really do anything special. And
if you're on the track,
even then, yeah, I'm in the camp of just put the darn Crystal Serum Light or Ultra or Geon Mose or whatever else on the darn surface of the wheels. I don't know. I just find the wheel stuff to be, I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but it just doesn't seem like that does anything.
All right, speaking of wheels, what made you decide on HRE wheels versus a more traditional BMW aftermarket wheels like BBS?
Well, BBS offsets are super weak. So you got to run spacers if you want BBSs to look good. And I don't want. I mean, I've never really been a fan of what are those mesh spoke ones? I forget what they're called. Something 88s or something like that. So the BBS that are cool like FIRs, but their offsets are so weak you have to run spacers on them, and you can't. BBS won't. They won't do custom offsets for you. So that's why I did HRE, and we'll see. I mean, I've never had a set of HREs, but HREs I can get made whatever the heck I want. So whereas BBS you can't.
Do you have an ETA on the new bead maker towels that we discussed on the previous podcast?
I got to call the rag company guys. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's the FTW towel. It's just going to be orange. It's a towel that they already have. But then again, this week I've been using the blue towels because the 3-4 FTWs that I have were wet or dirty, not clean. And so I've been using my small drying towel again. Man, I love that thing for drying. It's so good.
Are the overhead lights offered in your store still your preferred option at the moment?
Yep. I'm meeting in late May, with a company to talk about designing my own lights. We'll see. Who knows? But that would be at least a year away. Right now, they're the best we've got.
Floor drains. Where are people connecting the outlet to? Sewers, dry wells? Any idea?
It depends. It depends on code, but I mean, like for my wash bay, I intend to just drain it out into the grass, because I'm using mostly pH neutral stuff anyway, and it's relatively environmentally safe. It depends. I mean, some states won't allow you to vent or to drain that kind of stuff, so some you have to drain into a tank. Check out slot drain though; those things are amazing. That's what I'm going to be putting in the wash bay. You see it in Nick's video too, where he did a slot drain. So I'm going to do it. It's just like this little wedge. You have to be poured into the concrete, but I intend to just drain it out into the grass, into the woods.
Is it possible to have Sonic Toolbox under counter, which connects your cabinets, so you have semi-clean look on a cabinet array and a toolbox to move around, or will it be too high?
No, they have a rolling carts for each, both MSS and MSS Plus line. That's designed. It's a little bit shallower, so it fits flush, and has handles on the front. Like the MSS Plus has 2 little handles on the front where you can pull it out. So they have a rolling cart that's designed to fit in there flush and seamlessly. So they have that in both lines of product.
I've got a E90 in Le Mans Blue, drive about 20,000 miles a year. Should I coat it with CSL or wax it with 845? I have time roughly once every week to do a maintenance wash.
Either works. Again, it goes back to that same discussion of, what are you hoping to accomplish? If you're willing to maintain it and care for it, and you don't, if you're driving it that much, Colonite's probably only going to last 6 months tops. So you're going to have to, especially if you're outside at the office or you're traveling a lot. So 5-6 months maybe before it starts to become contaminated. Whereas the coating, you're probably going to be, if you're doing it once a year and maintaining it, topping it, you're probably going to get 1.5 years out of it, maybe a year, depending on where you're at and how much contamination you pick up. So I would probably coat that car.
Any updates on using foam cannon with wheel cleaner, like in your last YouTube video? Does the wheel cleaner mix still work good a few days after, or do you need to new mix in the bottle?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't tried that yet, so it's sitting there still. We also talk about that a little bit at the RUPES training about how the products attack the chemicals in the water, and then it breaks down the cleaning ability or the whatever the chemical makeup of the product is, the wheel cleaner, the soap, and that's why it tends to not foam as well the second time around. But just the M3, just the other day, I was testing the difference between Auto Fanatics wheel cleaner with the IK9 or testing the P&S Brake Buster. I still like the Atom soap a lot, or not soap, wheel cleaner a lot. And I don't know, the Auto Fanatic is certainly not touchless. It's just not. Maybe if your wheels are really clean, it probably could be touchless on a carbon ceramic. But on the M3, I still needed to agitate. So you still need to agitate, especially the barrels. The faces got really clean because the pressure washer is really hitting those. So you're still going to need to agitate. I found that the P&S Brake Buster and the Auto Fanatic were very similar in the amount of stuff that it cleaned without me touching the wheel. So I'm kind of torn on, which one of those makes sense. Both of them don't have the stench that I'm kind of moderating on the need to have sodium thioglycolate, the purple stuff, the stuff that turns purple on your wheels, especially if they're coated or protected with wax or something like that, or some sort of wheel sealant. We probably don't need the purple stuff everybody feels the need to have, including me.
Do you have a suggested rain repellent for applying to windshield?
Yeah, Wolf's Nano Glass Sealant, hands down, no question, definitely. What's that super chat? What's he saying?
Oh, that's Judd. That's our buddy Judd.
Oh, sweet.
He said, thanks for the quick O-rings. We had a chat this week. I got him some O-rings that he needed. He lost one of them, went flying off, and he couldn't find it. So.
Yeah, it helps to be local.
Yeah.
I still contend I need to start, shouting this from the treetops. If you have a pressure washer and you have couplers, then you need to get some extras so you have them. Get some extra O-rings, get some extra. So actually, let's do that. Let's get the O-rings in the store. We need to get those up. 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch O-rings. We need to get those up there. I'd also like to we need to get MTM's foam cannon rebuild kits. I've never rebuilt mine. Both of them are 5+ years old. One of them's like 10 or 11 years old. I've never done anything to them, but also my water isn't terrible.
I have the original one, and I never rebuilt it. It's been 5-6 years.
Yeah,
the only thing that came out is the pin that goes through the nozzle,
Yeah.
Now it comes off. That's the only thing I need.
I'm inclined to, if it's 2 years old or a year and a half, just freaking throw it away and get a new one. You probably need a new bottle anyway. We need to get the bottle in the store too. So we need to get replaced, because people mess up the bottle all the time.
Yeah, those threads.
Yeah, so we need to get the bottles, then the rebuild kits, the O-rings, and then I'm going to start suggesting people, you need to buy extra couplers. They're not warranted at all. There's no warranty. If it doesn't work right out of the box, then fine. But this is a wear and tear item. You just they're like $6. You just punt it and get a new one. So have a bunch of them. Like I've got 6 of them in my cabinet of each. And sometimes some will last for years, and sometimes they last for days, or weeks. It's a Chinese cheap product. Mosmatic's coming out with some new ones. My fear is that they don't last any longer than the Chinese ones. Because just because it's Chinese doesn't mean it's not precision built.
Hey Matt, I'm going to do a search for an F80 M3, considering doing a nationwide search. What company did you use to ship your E92, and would you use them again?
They all suck, so be prepared for that. I scheduled Reliable Carriers, which is supposed to be one of the best. That's the orange trucks you see around. And then they were weeks and weeks and no word, nothing. So then my buddy John Velez, who owns a bunch of dealerships, just got it done for me. So it was a stinky old, dirty old truck, but it got here unmolested. But every company I've used is a mess. I don't know. There's just no reliable car carrier in the country that I know of. Then the ones that could be reliable are so darn busy, they're just so hard to get a hold of. So you just start making calls. Be wary when you go online, and you get that there's a lot of brokers out there, and they're just brokering whoever gives them the best deal, and then they're marking it up. So I would urge you to go direct. Call reliable carriers. Call, who knows? I don't even know any other companies. There used to be one that was decent here, but see, the problem is a lot of them use like distribution hubs, and then they're taking the cars on and off all the time. I don't like that. If you're lucky, you can find someone who owns a truck who does it by himself, a little mom and pop. That's who I have shipping the GT3. He's right here in town. He's going to come get the car from my house, put it in a single truck or single trailer that's towed by his F350 that he takes and unloads it. Now, his trailer's all beat up and kind of stinky, but he's going to cater to me, but it's going to cost me $2,000 to ship it. So you'd be prepared to pay for that.
Daniel asked an easy question here. Do you sell good microfiber towels? He bought some at Walmart. So Daniel, the answer is yes. We have a lot of them in the store, including some kits where you can buy like 5 of each and get started that way.
I've bought and thrown away probably more microfiber than I'm in the 99th percentile, I'm sure, if not in the 100th percentile, if that's even possible, of buying and trying microfiber towels. And even to this day, I'm still, I don't want to change some of the ones that I have. But what I found is the rag company is a really reliable resource. The problem for you is the rag company has a jillion towels, and so I've seen and tried all of them. So I would suggest just go to obsessedgarage.com, go to the microfiber section. I've sort of written a brief in first person my take on why I've chosen each one for which task. You don't have to adhere to that. You can use any towel for any task, but that's what I prefer to use. And so I'm giving you the ability to develop from, or to purchase from my experience with this stuff, and then you can kind of pick and choose what you want. And the towels are relatively inexpensive. I know I'm selling them at, I think 20% off their normal list price, so it's a fair price to ask, I think, for them.
Do you use Adam's wheel cleaner full strength, or do you dilute it?
Yeah, full strength. Unless I'm putting it in the foam can, and then I'm diluting it to 25% Adams and 75% water, whatever that dilution ratio is, or dilution factor.
What's your opinion on the Jack's Wax soap that you used in a recent video?
It's pretty decent. I mean, I still think Adams is better. The Jack's Wax smells good. It foamed really well. It didn't do quite as well in the bucket, and I like to have the same soap for the bucket in the car. I don't know why, I just do. Adams had a little more lubrication, but it was a good alternative. I think it's quite a bit less expensive. I'm not sure, I didn't check the price, but of the soaps I've been, I don't have any aspirations to test other soaps. I just get them because people want me to try them. Like companies and stuff, and every time I just come back to Adams. And I've left Adams several times, and Carpro reset for a little while, and but the tried all the different Griots, goofy ones like the surface foaming, whatever that thing is, that supposedly doesn't strip the wax but strips the dirt, which is impossible. I've tried Optimums. Optimums is probably my second favorite, much less expensive than Adams. Very, very close. I think the Adams has a little more lubrication. I think the Optimum probably leaves a little less residue after the fact, but Adams is so residue-less that it really doesn't even matter.
Do you find that ceramic products ruin microfibers quickly?
Yes. Yeah, they tend to clog your towels, and then they become hydrophobic, and you just have to toss them. You can try putting vinegar and, of course, Micro Restore in your wash cycle, but yeah, you're going to blow through towels quicker. Bead Maker is going to ruin your towels quicker. ECH2O, ceramic, you name it, is all going to have that kind of issue.
Have you ever lubricated the quick connects or swivel on the pressure washer hose/gun? Do you think that would help the longevity?
It probably will. I never have. Again, they're so cheap. It's kind of like the foam cannon. In the grand scheme of how much soap costs in your gun and your pressure washer and all this stuff, it's a foam cannon, quick disconnects. It's just cheap, So I don't even worry about maintaining them. And by proxy, I've been pretty fortunate that mine very rarely fail. But yeah, you certainly could lubricate. I just don't know that I would want to deal with the mess from it.
Can you elaborate on your ownership experiences with your GT350 versus your M3? Being a former E90 335 S2000 owner and currently a GT350 owner, I'm a fan of high revving NA cars.
Yeah, same here. I mean, that's why that car fits. The GT350 is a far superior performance car to, I think it's a superior performance car to an F80 M3. Maybe the F80 might be able to keep up on a track, but the pure raw experience you're going to get from the GT350 is hard to beat. I think that car, though, for me, was a great experience. I loved owning it. I think a lot of guys that are these like me and like this gentleman we're talking about, this kind of purist, I like that. I'm not so worried about torque. I'm worried about the driving experience, be able to wind the car out. That high revving, naturally aspirated type car is just, it's a preference. Some people prefer a lower revving, high torque type, or maybe a turbo type car. But the personality type that likes that sort of high revving thing, the GT350, I think, has to enter into the equation. I'm not disappointed I own the car. I don't want another one. I owned it for, a year roughly. Enjoyed it. I enjoyed, messing with it, modifying a little bit. But, the transmission's good. Steering feel is pretty good. The M3 though, the M3 for me there's some nostalgia there. It's always been my unicorn car. I never thought I'd be at GT3 level. That was never my childhood. Everybody talks about my dream car. Every 18-year-old YouTuber talks about their dream car when they haven't even been on the earth long enough to dream about anything. But my dream car was always an M3, and so there's probably a lot of nostalgia that makes that car better for me. I like walking up to it, I like looking at it, I like washing it. The GT350 was never that car for me. Now, if you grew up as a Mustang as your dream car, then it would make more sense that if you're not a BMW guy, then it would make sense that car, it is a better car than the M3, but it's not a better place to be. The cockpit is, although cheap, it never really bothered me. It's just the M3 is better, and it just suits me better. So going from M3 to GT350 back to M3 with an F80 M3 in between there, I don't regret experiencing any of those cars, but I certainly would prefer, I've made my vote. I have an E92 M3 and I can have any of them. I don't have an F80, I don't have a GT350, but all those cars kind of fit that same mold.
All right, let's see here. Oh, this is good. I knew this would come up. How much have you been keeping up with Villanova? What do you think of their chances? The NCAA tournament starts today. So
yeah. Well, first of all, it's kind of stupid that why are they a 6 seed and Marquette's a 5 seed when we won the Big East championship and we split the regular season. I think we split. No, I don't even give a crap about this year. I hope they just lose in the first round and just get it over with.
They play tonight. I looked it up, 7:20 on TBS.
I think there's a good chance we could lose, St. Mary's. Then again, that the whole West Coast, basketball is not great. I think the SEC is probably going to do poorly. I think they're generally overrated. They're always athletic, but then the SEC teams can never shoot. So I think you'll see all the ACC teams near the Final Four. You might have 3 of the 4 teams. I think the Big Ten teams are probably better, but who knows? We're about to find out. Villanova would have been probably the odds-on favorite. They probably would have been the best team in the country if the freaking their 4 underclassmen all went to the NBA and are never going to play again. They should have stayed in college. Amari Spellman was a freshman. He'll probably never play again. DiVincenzo was, he was like the 7th man on the Villanova. Now he's like the 13th pick. He does play a little bit, I think. But man, could you imagine if we had all those guys and then Will Booth, who's pretty legit. So I think Villanova will probably be like a Sweet 16 type class, and they're probably a top 20 team. But hey, I don't even care. We won 2 of the last 3 years. We probably should have won that, the 2017. We just got matched up poorly against Wisconsin. But yeah, I love the NCAA tournament.
So who do you have then in your bracket? Who do you have?
I don't do brackets.
You don't do a bracket?
Brackets are for people who don't know anything about anything. Man. Brackets are for the casual goof. I don't gamble.
You don't have to gamble. You just fill out a bracket.
Why? What is the point of that?
It's fun.
All it does is stress me out that I got it wrong.
Well, get them right then.
Well, that's impossible. You have like a 1 in whatever.
9 quintillion.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the point of that? I don't like to do things for fun. I'm not very fun. I want to do things to do things, not just for the fun of it.
All right. Now, I got to show you this text I got from my wife here. She's got a screenshot she's watching with Harper Made Home. Can't believe Matt allows you to have all this stuff around you. Look at his area, and then look at your area. So he lets me.
Well, you're reading the comments. And,
Yeah.
oh man, we're super chatting it up. Keep the money flowing here, people. I need to buy more car parts. This is great.
Ooh, this is a good question because this actually came up as a Facebook
Who is this?
question as
I
well.
can't-
Dallas O.
Okay.
Do you have any Canadian admin/moderators who would look at setting up a meet/cruise similar to the USA events?
Dang it, you guys are killing me with these darn meets. I don't want to come to any of them, and I feel obligated. No, no one's set that up.
Do we have any Canadian
The problem, no, actually, I don't. You know, the problem is you're going to want me to come. Then I'm going to get all wound up and all stressed out, and then I'm back to freaking out again, and I'm, in the corner just shaking because I got to go and ride shotgun with somebody, and then they want me to drive, and I'm not doing so well driving with passengers, and oh shoot. So I'm sure that we probably should do something like that, but no one's done it. But if you want to volunteer, and then if you want to let me off the hook, then trip out. We can certainly create an event for it.
Yeah, so in the Facebook group, it was Patrick Riley asked for an OG meet in Ontario, Canada. I said Chris Richardson and then Corey Slater also were excited about that. So you have a few Canadians who would like to do something like that.
I'm not opposed to it as long as I don't have to do anything.
There you go. So there you go, Dallas. There's your answer.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk real quick about a couple things in the store. We have kind of a new look.
We do?
Yeah, with the arrangement, and Bryce is going to bring it up here so we can see it. Just when you hover over store now, we kind of separated and cleaned up the pressure washing a bit. You want to talk about that and why?
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of, not change, but a lot of organization. So we've been creating, and now I want to do what I do. Like let's say, for instance, one of my cabinets out there. I do this all the time where I just take everything out of the cabinet and I kind of put it back in. I'm like, I don't like that. And take half of it back out and then put it back in, and then take a quarter of it back out and then put it back in, and then I come up with the organization system. And so what we're going to work on a lot for the next 6 months or so is creating a better flow. Maybe rewriting some descriptions, getting the product set up so that it is as understandable as possible, so you don't have to frickin' bother me all the time. So answer the questions that people have so they don't have to call us or email us. And so we're going to continue to work through the organization of that to make it more understandable. I want to create some flow charts of how to connect things. The only disadvantage of doing that is then other people are going to copy it, but whatever. There is no competition in this world. You just do you, and the cheaters will eventually lose. But yeah, we're working on creating a little bit more flow. So we have Krenzla portable solutions, Krenzla custom install solutions, because it gets kind of confusing. Like, well, does this work for the custom install, or does it work for the portable? Which fittings do I need? Because some people have some of the stuff and they're kind of piecing it together. And then we have the Comet solutions, which are live and up and running. We should be getting a few. Amos was telling me that I've got a few coming, maybe 10 or so. I don't know how many we have sold, but probably a lot of them pre-sold. And then again, mid to end of April, we should see another big batch coming. But those are probably going to be in short supply for a long time. So just buy one, get your spot in line, and know that like the millisecond that we get it, it's out the door. So just know that that's going to be the life we live if you want a Comet pressure washer. We've had those problems with Krenzla. Even this week, we had Krenzlas, people buying them, and they take their time. So eventually, we're going to get to the point where all this stuff is on my shelf, and we'll ship it from the inventory here. But yeah, this store, you're going to continue to see us upgrade and update the flow and how it works, and it'll change a lot. Bread financing has been really popular. I mean, we're at like 100K of people using it. It's incredible, and it is super. Like, somebody asked me a question, said, "Is this legit?" So yeah, it's super legit. No games, no bull crap, same as cash, them backdating you and hitting you with financing charges. It's really simple, really straightforward, really seamless. It seems to be easy to use as well. You could finance that was a $12 plug. People were joking. You could pay 47 cents a month for 12 months.
A $3 plug.
The very first thing ever financed through that program was a $100 hose.
Yeah.
So
Well,
You can do whatever you want. It's good.
yeah. You basically end up with a line of credit,
Right.
and you can just tap that line of credit whenever you want. It's cool.
The other thing that's new in the store, I know Bryce and Ryan worked a lot on the Prevost items, and so now we've got over a page worth.
Yeah, what I intend to do here, and somebody asked me a question. He says, "Are you going to keep doing car videos?" I'm like, "Oh shoot, I thought that's what everybody wanted to see." And I said, well, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I haven't done any product-specific stuff. I want to lay out all the Prevost stuff on a table and make a video here to explain it. Now that we have it, we're going to clean up the inventory on it here now that they've got the products in the store. And we're going to get it so that it's as understandable as possible to order and make it so that when you're designing your system that you know what the heck you need. We're stocking all 1-inch size. I had to make a choice, make a pick. You know, they have 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/4 inch, 1 1/2 inch, 1 3/4 inch, 2, all basically 1/2 and 1/4 inch increments all the way up to 3 inches. We had to pick one, so I picked one.
Someone bought this right here. I hope we know what he just bought because he only bought that.
Yeah, so there's
coming back.
There's all kinds of funky stuff that I'll be explaining and teaching you guys about. And then some of it, you need to do some more testing with. But Prevost in general, they have a 300-page catalog, and I've poured over this and really have become a pseudo expert in what they have to offer. And so what we have in the store is what I believe people would need to build a system of any type. They still have some more stuff. We can get any of it, but I'm hoping to make this, a viable solution or viable option.
Let's see here. Calendar event coming up. Speaking of going to these events, the next OG meetup is next month, so it's kind of coming up here. The Monterey event.
Mm-hmm. I think there's one spot left. So if you want to go, hit up Max on the Max Lasaka on the Facebook group. Oh, there's an event. It's right in the announcements in the Facebook group. So I think he has one spot left. We're going to be going and seeing some cool stuff. We're going to have some inside access into the McCall motoring group in Monterey. So, if you're around that area or you're close to it, you'll probably want to make the trip. I think it's going to be cool.
Then Dallas, our Canadian buddy, said, I'll be flying to Tampa in September. He'll come up and visit so we can discuss your Canadian travel nightmare. So we're going to get that started.
Okay. Yippee.
Let's see here. There's another good one.
I'll go visit Pan. I think he's in Quebec, though. Do they allow Americans in Quebec?
I don't know. I don't know much about Canada. This is good. Any update on the progress of the new building? So I know you had a lot going on Tuesday with that. So you want to talk any about that?
Yeah. So I spent quite a bit of time. I'll probably make a video here. I've gotten pretty well figured out. I'm gonna take a walk over there today. What I'm gonna do with that little Florida little cracker style little house, little 1,200 square foot house. So I've gotten that kind of figured out. I'm going to show people, what I'm thinking there. I've just been spending a lot of time on audio and figuring out how to make this studio as good as possible. I have a call with, what's the company that makes the TriCaster? I forget what their name is. New Tech, yeah. To discuss that. I've also been working with Charlie, who's an audio engineer, to help me figure out how to get, our audio is decent, but to make it, next level audio on the podcast. And really what I want is I'm going to have a rectangle table, and we're going to have 5 mics, and then have the ability to run, run whatever type of broadcast we want. And, be able to live stream and then be able to switch cameras and do it even, better than what we're doing now. That's the goal. Just do it professional grade. That's what I want.
Can the parts from a Rupes Mark II work within the Rupes Mark III? Do you know?
Most of them, yeah. I mean, the trigger's different, the dial, the electronics are different, the programming's different. I believe the motor is the same. Don't hold me to that. I believe the eccentric gear set is the same. The backing plate is the same. The pads would be the same. The power cord is the same type of power cord. It's just longer. You could technically open it up and put the shorter power cord in, which is what I like to do, so I can wrap it up better. It's funny, they were really giving me a hard time on the way I wrap my power cords. So mine looks better, and it doesn't hurt the freaking machine if you do it right. Oh, what's that one? This money's flowing in today. Keep it coming, people.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second because it kind of ties to this. Danny asked, would there be any chance of offering the monthly payments to international orders?
I don't think we can
No,
we?
that's not our call to make. That's one of the...
I think it's a regulatory thing.
Right, and there are actually 3 states in the United States that we cannot use the program with because of their laws. So.
Yeah, it's something that we can't control. So yeah, no, I don't think we can do that.
Looking for just a basic hose reel, like the kind you use for your air hose. Is that Cox or Prevost? Is it going to be in the store soon? Air hose use the Cox reel, but then we also have that. What's that one piece? The Prevost, that blue that you've got over by the lift.
That's the hose holder.
Hose holder.
PLAHR. Yeah, I mean, I should probably come out with a more basic. Like Prevost has a pretty decent little slow retractor. It's called a DRFB, but that thing's like $500. So you might as well just buy the Cox. So I don't have anything basic. All I have is the best of the best. The thing I find is that with the basic ones, they're just so cheap that you're going to end up with problems. The Cox already has enough problems, and that's the best there is. With the hose kind of getting bound up and things. I mean, hose reels, especially retractable ones in general, they set you up for a letdown. You've got to manage them. They're not like a perfect solution. So you do have to manage that and, make it work for you. A lot of people have high expectations of some of this professional grade stuff, but, they're designed to be sold to professionals, and so you have to have some skill set in order to manage these things and make them work for you. Some of the quirks sometimes are more difficult than the like when you buy something that's highly marketed and been dumbed down for stupid. Then you have a lot of times less issues, but you have less longevity and less. The user experience isn't as good because the quality isn't there, but it works. Some of these cheap things.
All right, and Black Celica GTS3 is following up. The hose holder is what he was asking about.
Yeah, that's the PLAHR. It should be in the store.
Yep, it is in the store, Bryce.
Is it $80? $74.29. Where do they come up with these numbers? $74.29. I wish you just round it up.
Some of them are like $12.43.
Like, where does that come from? They must have like a cost, and then they just do some sort of retail multiplier. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. This is probably the most asked question across the board, including in the Facebook group, about the summary of all the pressure washer testing. So,
well, it's not done yet, and I want to get it copyrighted, and so I can't copyright it halfway done, and then now I have to go get it copyrighted again. And so I've been holding on to that, and part of it is I needed a little break from pressure washer nirvana or nightmare. And so I've got to buy some more pressure washers to finish the deal. So I'm waiting to finish that, and then we're going to clean it up and make it presentable, and then it'll be on obsessedgarage.com. And, I really don't want it circulating because I've worked my face off to get this thing done and spent who knows how much money between all the hourly, costs of doing this and my time spent. So I don't want some goof pressure washer company just copying it. And so I gotta finish it. So I'd say in the next several months, I want to get the 1M and the M3 projects kind of done, and then go and just play with some more pressure washers.
And if you have questions, you want to know kind of the top choices, you can email me.
Karcher K1700 Greenworks. I mean, now I have new Greenworks, so I got to buy those and test those. They're going to be basically the same. Greenworks, I guess GPW 2006, Ryobi 1600. Those three. I mean, some people seem to like the Greenworks 2300 now. I don't like the ramp up time on that one, but those would be like the 4 pressure washers that are, I think you'd consider in the lower end realm.
M3 update. What's going on with the M3?
I gotta get the wheels. I just gotta go down there to Orlando to get them done and then aligned. Then I can start doing some driving videos. I have the sway bar and links on backwards. I think it keep giving me problems. You'll see me messing with that. But M3 is looking good. I have to fix the seat. It's squeaky. And then I'm going to do a stereo in it once I get the wheels. And so wheels on it, suspension dialed in with the Dynon adjustable rear toe arms and aligned and set up, and then stereo, and then that will be, I've got to get the front windshield tinted. So yeah, apparently I got a lot of stuff still to do with it. But that's going to be more of a longer term project, and we'll see how the 1M, if the 1M raffle does what I think and hope it will do, then what I might do is raffle the M3 and then build another one. Or what I might do is go stroker the M3 and then raffle it and then do it all over again on like a car that has like 1,000 miles on it. So that's what I'm thinking.
There's a question about that. No, I can't find it.
But I'll probably get a Corvette later this year.
Oh, that's the next one, probably.
Likely. I don't know what Corvette, some variant of a C7 Z06. I don't think I'll do what is it? Freaking, I can't keep it straight. ZR1, ZJ1, ZL1.
M3.
Stupid names.
F250.
I don't know why the Chevy names make me angry. Everybody else uses abbreviations, but for some reason Chevys are stupid to me.
E92, F80, 30.
Z, man, it's
So
exotic.
many.
Yeah.
Here's a good one. I'm a broke college student with uncovered parking. What's the most cost-effective product to keep my car clean? It's an E90 330, if that matters.
First comment would be, why are you a broke college student? Figure out a way to not be broke. Now, I got lucky and stumbled into it, but I found a job that fit into my schedule, and I ended up being a baller college student. It was awesome. I was making like 50 grand selling car stereos. It was great. So my first comment would be figure out a way to not be a broke college student. And what that means is you're not going to sleep very much. You're going to work like a machine, but you're freaking 18 years old. You should have plenty of energy. You should still be able to work out, maybe even play a sport, study. Well, I guess I didn't do much studying part of it, but show up for class, get a job, and then you won't be and play with your car. That's what I did. And I was playing a collegiate sport. It was great. I had all the time in the world. You don't have any responsibilities. So figure out a way to not be broke. And then from there, then you can just buy what I'm selling. Problem solved.
There you go.
You don't have to use junk.
What if he got robbed and all his money was stolen? Now he has little...
Then you got bigger problems than to worry about washing your car. Yeah, I'm not the best guy to ask about, budget stuff. You can do the stuff that I'm using on a budget. You just can't have it all. So go into the store and start looking at some of this, some of the products and select out the necessities. Obviously you're not going to buy a Krensler pressure washer. But again, yeah, but the Karcher 1700 is still going to be $550 when it's all said and done.
Don't buy the ultimate.
So what would you get, like a car shampoo?
Yeah, you get one pad, get a couple of Home Depot buckets. Hopefully get some white ones so they don't have the stupid orange ones. So get some inexpensive, some 5-gallon buckets, skip the dollies and all that stuff. Wash with a garden hose, or go to the quarter car wash and you use their pressure washer. Just don't use any of their chemicals. And so you have an Incredimit for $28. You have a gallon of soap for $40. You're gonna have to buy that gallon every so often, once every 2 months or so. Forget the foam cannon and all that stuff. Get some towels. You get some of the white drying towels and maybe some of the blue towels, and use the same towels for everything. Go to your parents' house and wash your towels in their washer, or go to the laundromat, and and use some Colonite wax, and then eventually get a clay bar, and then eventually maybe get a polisher, and then eventually get some polish, and you kind of work your way building your little arsenal. But clearly you're not going to buy a Rupes LHR Mark III and then a LHR 75E and then a Nano So you just don't do that right away. You kind of work your way into it, and spend more time focusing on how not to be broke.
I found this question that's related back to what you said. What supercharger would you get on the M3? Harrop, VF, ESS?
I would do. I would probably do Harrop, or ESS. The ESS kit has by far sold the most. They're all good. I mean, they all work. But I would probably do Harrop. Positive displacement.
Stroker or supercharger?
Yeah, I mean, a stroker is a complete waste of money because you can get more horsepower and just as reliable with it. Probably more reliable with a darn supercharger. But I would want a stroker just so I retain all of the naturally aspirated tendencies. But you're talking $25,000 to do a stroker with now you're building an unreliable engine versus a supercharger for $10,000. I would only do it because I can, and I don't even feel the need for either one of them. The car is pretty fast. I mean, it's fun. I like winding it out.
You mentioned, I think, part of this earlier with the brake buster. Have you used other P&S products besides Beadmaker? If not, would you consider testing them out?
Yeah, I haven't. Well, I've used their interior cleaner. I like Griot's better. What else have I used? I've used their detail spray, but again, I don't really use detail sprays. I just used the detail spray to clean the face of my cabinets because I needed something wet to spray on them. Yeah, I'm sure they probably have some other good products. At some point when I get the store built out with all the products, then I want to just start going in massively vetting everything and just going, doing even further, chasing further products, figure out what I like the best. And, it's not even about being the best. It's just what I like the best. And chances are I've tried more than most people. And then some people would rather just have me do it than they do it. And maybe I'm sure that there's a lot of things that I'm using that aren't the best of the best, but certainly what I'm using works. So we're going to continue to improve on that until I get bored with that, and then I'm going to go build a home theater business.
All right, so what's upcoming here on videos? You got 1M stuff coming up, M3 stuff coming up.
Got a new series called Wrench and Rant. I don't come up with this stuff. That's a Bryce idea.
That was good. I like that. That was good.
Wrench and Rant. We have to finish out the videos from the Rupes training. I hope that I haven't edited it yet, but I hope that Roundtable one comes out because it's just some interesting discussion about waxes and sealants and coatings and process and wash process and all that. It's so funny to watch. Jason Rose, who's like the paint correction expert, doesn't give a crap about washing cars. He's just so disinterested in the whole discussion. You get him talking about rotaries and he lights up, but we're talking about car washing. He's like, that's just a means to an end, you idiots. Why does anybody care about that? And so we talk a lot about, like pros. Every pro thing I've ever been a part of, their wash game is weak. Because it's just for them, it's a means to an end. It's not, it's not the it's not the most important part. The wash is just to get the car clean enough to get it fixed. So, but if I was running a detail shop, my wash game would be strong. It's part of the show. It's part of the deal, and I would also be very open with customers and let them participate in whatever way they wanted to, and I think you'd find a massive following. I know people want to be left alone, and that's fine, but I want to be left alone too. But there's something to be said about being open and have an open door policy. If I was running a detailing business, I would make my bucket game would be strong. I would have shelves with all the washing gear, all kinds of new and clean and ready to go stuff. My pressure washing system would be top notch. I would, again, first of all, it would be user experience would be better for me. And then, because a lot of customers will bring their car for you to wash it for them. And so I'm going to put on the show. It's all directly correlated to, okay, if I'm a really good polisher, but if the first thing people see is the washing part, then it makes the really good polishing, I think, makes it not more valid, but in the eyes of the consumer or your customer, maybe your client.
Yeah, Jared has a good point here in the chat. Instead of wrench and rain, he said maybe rant and wrench, just to set the proper expectations. We're doing more of one than the other.
Yeah, this is very true.
And then Mike says, I just let Ryan in the group. Was this a good idea? So I guess your son's now. Is he joining the Facebook group, or is this a different Ryan? Oh, that Ryan. Sorry. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah. My I was gonna say my son better not have a Facebook profile. I know. Although he does use, I don't know if it's Messenger or what they're chatting. Him and his buddies are always talking on. Yeah. Some parents are saying, "Oh, yeah, that's terrible." Yeah. Well, I think you gotta let him navigate the world, and you kick him in the nuts if he does something stupid.
Let's see. All right, I think that's all the questions. Got us right at 12:30, so good timing here.
Yeah, I can always tell when you're checked out because I just keep going.
Yeah.
And you're ready to go do some real work.
I have to go. I have 900 emails now. Yeah. Let's see. I think we had over 200 people watching it though. It's like 241 or something like that. Yeah.
How is the audio look, people?
We got good comments on audio and video, so
it seems synced. Okay, that's good, Bryce. You get to work another day then. Oh shoot. Yeah. Well, things are going well. On 1M. I'm got into this deep on the stupid intake. I don't want to say I'm almost finished, but I'm close to getting it back together so I can then start driving it. And so more driving videos coming up here of me white knuckling and as I'm panicking driving down the frickin' road. Hopefully we can get me medicated soon so I can be a normal human again. Don't have to everybody drive me to the airport. That'll be good. What else do we got going? That's about it.
Yep, California next week, so we won't have a YouTube live or podcast next week.
Yeah, but there'll be tons of video content. I'm really looking forward to the stuff from McGuire's. I'm gonna push them. Nick and Marcus, I'm gonna make them give me the deal, the sauce, the scoop, and I'm gonna push to get hyper dressing in a 32-ounce bottle because the engine cleaning kit I've got to get done as well.
Right now it's what, a gallon?
Yeah, a gallon will literally last 7 humans the rest of their natural lives. In fact, mine was so old that the got mold. I had to throw it away. So worst case, I'll be buying 5-gallon totes and making Ted bottle it out there. If they'll let me do that. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're listening on the podcast, more podcasts coming. I'm gonna have to run hard because now Bryce and Ryan are catching up to me. For a while I was running Bryce into the ground, but they're starting to catch up to the idea flow. So I'm going to have to create more chaos, but I'm good at that. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. I've got plenty of it coming. Thanks for watching.